All through our lives, we're told by others what we should do. You should go exercise. You should go to college. You should get a job. Many of us accept what we're told simply because it's what everyone else does. We go to the gym but give up after 2 weeks because it feels boring. Or we go to college but we don't know what we want to study and eventually drop out. We apply for jobs without considering what impact that will actually have and end up hating our careers. As we follow down this path that others have laid for us, it's easy to lose motivation. Simply knowing what we should do isn't enough. We must know why we should do it. You should go to the gym because it brings you energy and self-confidence to perform in the rest of your life. You should go to college to expand upon your curiosities and narrow down your career choices. You should apply to jobs with the intention of creating something that adds to the progression of humanity or something more noble like that. When you understand why you're doing what you've been told to do, motivating yourself to do it becomes so much easier. If you fail to think critically and ask why, then you'll find yourself drifting aimlessly through life, ready to accept whatever conditions others throw at you. You'll suffer from a lack of motivation to accomplish any more than the bare minimum. But it doesn't have to be this way. Despite the suboptimal conditions of the world around us, we can still strive to become better. We can tap back into our childlike curiosity about the world and pursue activities that hold a higher purpose. We can work towards the formation of a vision and make the world around us a better place as a result of that pursuit. And it all starts with getting clear on your why. Why are you doing what you're doing? What's the purpose behind your actions? What end result are you working towards? Throughout this video, I'm going to take you through the importance of having a why and how not all whys are made equal. Some examples of leaders with phenomenal whys I'll try to include in this video, and what you can do today to gain clarity on yours and emulate those sorts of people. This video is for people who feel like the world around them is controlling them and they're just drifting aimlessly without a definite why. You might see suffering everywhere that you look and you might be discouraged. Someone who, you know that you're meant for something greater, but struggle to motivate themselves into a specific action towards that. This is for anyone who desires to, express a greater version of themselves. So I wanted to express the importance of the fact that you need a why. And this point is not debatable. If you find yourself trying to debate it, recognize that it's probably your ego acting up and trying to pull you back into comfort. A why is a necessity for a human's existence. There simply must be, something that you're aiming towards. Our biological system wouldn't exist if it wasn't trying to accomplish something. Whether you're consciously aware of it or not, you do have a why. Every action that you take serves a cause. It might be difficult to, accept this, but it can be no other way. If you're not consciously aware of the intention behind your action, that means that you're unconscious and aimlessly drifting. You subconsciously have a why, but consciously are ignorant to that motive. This leads your future to being dictated by others outside of your conscious perception. Some people ignore, the simple fact that all actions are premeditated and choose to leave their entire life up to fate. But there is no fate. As Carl Jung said, until you make the unconscious conscious, it'll direct your life and you'll just call it fate. The only thing that, these people are right about is giving up control, which doesn't guarantee a positive outcome as so many people would lead you to believe. Far from it, actually. There's so many people and institutions that would gladly have you give up control and defer judgment to them, as they can profit off of your incompetence. When you deflect the responsibility to define a reason behind your actions, you're giving up control over your future. And the best interest of your future is almost never the exact same as the best interest of those around you. So if you let them dictate your future, then it's not going to go the way that you want. It's as simple as that. Defining your why is difficult, And that's why so many people choose not to do it. It's far easier to ignore these pressing questions and leave it up to fate. Every day you fail to define your purpose is another day in which you're letting the world condition your subconscious into an expression of whatever it sees best for you, which, again, rarely is in your best interest. The core point I want to leave you with is that you'll always be driven by a why, but it's up to you to make your drivers more conscious. As you question what you're working towards and why that's important, you'll be able to understand that if that why is even worth doing. Many of these reasons why we act are foolish and perpetuate human suffering. You can be motivated by a good why or a bad one, and it's going to be ultimately your job to define these for yourself. Let's look through an example in case you're not able to follow along with these more abstract ideas. Jimmy has been told that he should get a job, and so he does, right? And he's working as a cashier at Lowe's. How did he get the job, you might ask? Well, Jimmy didn't put any critical thought into the decision. He knew that, he had to pay the bills. He saw a help wanted sign outside when he was shopping for a new gardening hose or something. And now Jimmy's been working at Lowe's for 6 months. He accomplished the goal that society told him to, which was to get a job to pay for the bills. But the problem is Jimmy isn't very fulfilled by the job. He's quite bored actually most of the day, and he hates his boss. His work environment is so toxic that he comes home in a bad mood. Jimmy isn't self-aware enough to recognize the cause for this bad mood, but he does know that alcohol suppresses it. So he forms a bad habit of drinking. The drinking makes Jimmy feel better at night, but in the morning he's miserable. He wakes up exhausted, but still finds himself at work on time. He is low energy and can barely motivate himself to do more than the bare minimum expected of him. His boss recognizes this, and when it comes time to promote internally, he quickly disregards Jimmy as an option. Now it's been 1 year, and Jimmy's still a cashier. He has nothing in his life that he's working towards accomplishing. He's accomplished what society has told him to be important, which is to make money, and Jimmy thinks it would be nice to make more money, but his base needs are met and he's comfortable with this position. If Jimmy doesn't have a reason why he should work harder, then why would he? The unfortunate truth of the modern day is that many people are in Jimmy's situation, and maybe not necessarily with the specifics, maybe not alcohol, maybe another cope, maybe not a cashier job, but many people are in a very similar boat. And they deflect responsibility for the conditions of their life, and they're motivated by what society tells them to be important. They lack fulfillment from their jobs and suppress their problems with short-term pleasures, and these short-term pleasures induce feelings of comfort in the moment and acceptance of their conditions, but it doesn't have to be this way for Jimmy or anyone else for that matter. Jimmy was shopping at Lowe's for a new gardening hose, and he loves gardening and was in the process of building a new garden outside of his home. When Jimmy was looking for a new job and was at Lowe's, he could have thought how this new job could enhance his love for gardening maybe. And there could have been a larger reason why he was getting the job than to simply make money like he was told to do. By thinking critically and connecting the dots right in front of him, he could have developed a plan to start in an entry-level position and then work his way into the gardening section of the store as a sales representative or something like that. And by having that intention to get promoted, Jimmy would be far more motivated at work. There'd be a larger reason why he should perform at the job than to simply make money. Again, as society has told him that's so important. If you applied the critical thought to see that a core skill to a sales representative is personability, then he could practice this in each interaction as a cashier. As Jimmy works towards the goal he's intentionally defined for himself, he's constantly reminded of why he's doing it, and how that's important to him. After 1 year's time, Jimmy certainly could receive a promotion, and he'd be much more motivated to pursue it. Through this analogy, hopefully you can see how your life can be dramatically altered simply through asking yourself what you're working towards and why that matters to you. Being conscious of what you're working towards unlocks the best expression of yourself as it fills up your motivation fuel tank. There's a Steve Jobs quote. It was, if you're working on something that you really care about, you don't have to be pushed. The vision pulls you. So that's kind of the idea that I'm working towards in this video. You might not fully relate to our imaginary story about Jimmy, and that's okay. To ground you in reality, I was thinking of 3 individuals who are widely respected for their abilities to define a vision for the future and persevere through adversity towards it. One of the first people I think of in this regard is Martin Luther King Jr., who was, of course, a Baptist minister who was curious about theology, receiving a doctorate degree on the subject, and through his time as a minister became passionate about public speaking and quickly built it into a strong skill that he had. And he used this passion to be part of a larger purpose, serving others through the civil rights movement. In 1963, he made that "I Have a Dream" speech, displaying his curiosity for what a world with equal rights would look like, motivating many others to follow in his path of serving a greater purpose rather than just serving themselves. Another person I think of is Viktor Frankl. Curiosity about the psyche in Frankl's youth led him down the path to develop passions required to become one of the world's leading psychiatrists, philosophers, and neurologists. In early adulthood, he founded a revolutionary school of psychotherapy called logotherapy. Logotherapy rehabilitates patients by emphasizing that a why or a meaning is the central human motivational force. His personal why was helping people find theirs. Frankl was a Holocaust survivor, and even amid the worst conditions imaginable, his passion was to help others on their own journey to find purpose and make their life worth living. Another person, a more modern day person that I think of, is Elon Musk. He's one of the brightest minds of our generation, leading several of the top engineering companies across the U.S. In his youth, his curiosity led him down a path of learning everything that he could get his hands on. He quickly became passionate about learning more about computer science and physics, and wanted to apply his knowledge to the purpose of solving the world's largest problems. Elon Musk is now one of the world's wealthiest people and dedicates his time to learning more about how he can further improve his companies to best serve the purpose of sustainability on the Earth and the expansion of human consciousness across the galaxy. As you can see through these 3 leaders, they're all driven by a powerful why. They had visions for the future and consciously pursued them. They didn't always know what impact they wanted to have, but through the intention of serving others, they gained clarity along the way. There are many more examples of leaders to get inspired by, but those are some of the 3 that came to mind for me right away. And they all share a core message of being driven by that strong why again. So I trust now that you understand how crucially important it is to exercise more self-awareness over your motives for each of your actions. And by defining a why statement for your life, you can propel yourself towards fulfillment and generate a more meaningful existence for everyone in your presence as well. If you believe, all this to be true, you're probably wondering what it is that you can do to define a more concrete why statement. And it may seem like something abstract and certainly requires a lot of critical thought to do properly, but you can learn a lot from the stories of those who we've laid out in this article. But, if you want more practical tips, just follow this channel. I'll keep sharing as much as I possibly can. And check out our website. We also have a free PDF that you can download that talks all about, defining a concrete why statement. Thanks a lot for watching.